Hello and welcome to this week's IG Live. I apologize for the slight delay in getting started. Uh, Instagram is giving me a few problems this morning, afternoon for most of you. But thanks for joining us, and we are going to be talking to Katie Petruzziello, and I apologize for the pronunciation. Hopefully she can correct me when she gets on. And they have one book out currently and another that is going to be launching very soon. If you've been following along on Instagram, you know that they have the new books that's coming out in just a few weeks. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
And I'm sorry, could you pronounce your name for me? I think I
Oh, no,
didn't.
it's Katie Petruzziello. Yep.
Okay,
Did
great.
pretty well.
Well, well, thank you for joining us. It's such a pleasure to have you on here. You're somebody that I found through Instagram, and actually not through your own account, but from hearing other people comment. And, you know, when I see a book list and people, oh, we love the Mighty Mila stories. And I just, I have to find out who this is. So thank you so much for being here.
No problem. That's so nice to hear. Thank you. No, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to chat with you and yeah, have to spend some time together.
And I just want to say, for those who are watching, I know we are sideways. We do that on purpose. I know it's a little odd for Instagram, but that's for it looks so much better on YouTube, which is where this is also going to be eventually. So if you can bear with us for that. But why don't we get started talking about what was your journey to becoming an author? Was that something that you had considered doing, like ever since you were a kid, or?
That's so, yeah, no, not at all. never once entered my mind. I don't know, like I just hadn't thought about it. I guess I had kind of considered, like, you go to school to, like, for, you know, language and becoming an author, and, you know, that's what you want to be. And it wasn't something that necessarily had hit me as, like, I want to be an author, more so than circumstances in my life led me to know that I had a story that I had to tell for the benefit of deaf and hard of hearing children. And the best way to do that in my mind was through a children's picture book. So being an author, I still sounds funny to me when I say, like, oh, I'm an author, because it kind of wasn't the end. That in itself wasn't the end goal. It was getting the story out there and representing deaf, hard of hearing individuals in children's books. And, you know, I just happened to be an author since I published a book. Yeah.
Did it take a while to figure out how to be an author and how to write a book? I mean, maybe first I should back up and say, why books? When you decided you wanted to raise awareness about kids who have hearing loss, why did you decide to go the route of picture books? What makes that such a great vehicle for raising awareness and opening people's minds?
Yeah, so I mean, especially for, you know, for all individuals, but especially kids, they learn so much through reading. Like, a lot of children have it as part of their daily routine, where they read books, either in school or with parents or caregivers or whoever. And it's something that is ingrained into many children's kind of day-to-day life or week-to-week life, right? And it's gives kids a really comfortable way of learning in the comfort of their own homes, learning about people or parts of the world that are different from them, or just different ideas. And it gives them that opportunity to ask questions of the parents or the adults or the individuals that are reading to them in a safe space. And I think that kind of coming out with Mighty Mila, you know, my goal is to, one, provide representation to deaf and hard of hearing children and help them feel empowered by seeing themselves in a children's book, because there aren't many children's books that have deaf, hard of hearing characters in them. But then also, on the flip side, enable typical hearing children that may not have ever met a deaf or hard of hearing kid that opportunity to, in a safe space, through a children's book, learn, be able to feel comfortable asking all those questions that maybe they wouldn't feel comfortable about, like if they saw Mila or another kid with cochlear implants or hearing aids or doing sign language out in, you know, the world. They can ask their parents, they can ask their adults, that whoever's reading to them, and give them the opportunity to learn in kind of more safe environment, so that when they do meet children or adults that are deaf or hard of hearing in the real world, they feel more empowered and they feel like they understand it. And of course, they can still ask questions. Like, it's great to ask questions, but at least I just know a little bit more and maybe feel more comfortable with the topic.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I should mention, I know I saw I think it was, I don't remember if it was Instagram or Facebook, that there was a teacher that read this to the classroom on the first day. This is such a great way to open up those conversations with kids, and that you also have activities on your website, to help kind of further that.
Yeah, it's actually something that we have the best teacher of the deaf ever. Like, I mean, I'll just put it out there. Like, we love our teacher of the deaf, and she's been with Mila since Mila's been 1 year old, and Mila's turning 7 in October. And then my youngest, Sophia, just got identified as having hearing loss, and she's going to be her teacher of the deaf also. She's basically part of the family. So one of the things that she's always done with Mila, even starting in like pre-K, is have her kind of work with her on like a presentation and go in the front of the class and talk to her classmates about her hearing journey and her hearing devices, and give her that opportunity to approach the subject in a constructive way, that where Mila is in charge, versus Mila showing up first day of class, nobody knows what cochlear implants are, and they're maybe not comfortable in whispering, what's on your head, what's this, that. It kind of opens up the conversation in a constructive like way. And I think it's really great idea for any deaf or hard to hear child, or any child that has a difference, where the parents would like to kind of open up that conversation in a constructive way at the beginning of the year. So I actually worked with Mila's teacher of the deaf to create an entire, like, I don't remember, 30-something slide template, like an advocacy template that I'm sharing on my website for anybody to download for free, because I want others to have others that don't necessarily have thought about doing that, the ability to just go and do that, something like that at the beginning of the year. So for anybody that might have deaf or hard of hearing kids that are watching, it's on the website at mightymila.com. It's called the All About Mighty Me advocacy presentation.
Nice. That's so wonderful. I mean, what a wonderful resource to have out there for people to use. And I know you said that the book is all about empowering kids, and I think it's important to make the distinction that you do, that this is a book about this really spunky, imaginative girl who just happens to have hearing loss, as opposed to a book about hearing loss. Can you talk to us a little bit more about the difference and why you wanted to make sure that this was not about hearing loss?
Yes, yeah. So that was really what drove me to write the book, because I was driven with the idea to write this book shortly after Mila got her cochlear implants, when she was looking through, we were reading books at nighttime, and she was looking through her books, and she got upset because one of the books we were looking at, actually a number of the books we were looking at, didn't have characters with cochlear implants. And I pointed her to the area of the bookshelf where we do have a bunch of books with characters with hearing devices, because along the way of her getting ready to get her cochlear implants, I kind of bought everything I could possibly find. And there's not a ton out there, but there are some books out there. And most of them focus on so-and-so going to the audiologist, or so-and-so getting their hearing aids, getting their cochlear implants. And don't get me wrong, like, those books were lifesavers for us. Like, they were incredible. And there's some really good books out there, because they really helped me teach a 3-year-old, or explain to a 3-year-old, like, you're going to have surgery to get a cochlear implant. Like, how do you explain it to a 3-year-old? You have to read about a book about, little girl Amagal getting her cochlear implants. And that's how she was learning. So don't get me wrong, those books, like, there's definitely a necessity for medical focused books where kids can see all the different types of treatment and doctor appointments that they'll have to go through, because I think that was really helpful. But then on the flip side, like, it kind of dawned on me at that point that, you know what, like where's the next step? Like, where's just the deaf or hard of hearing kid being a kid? Like, where it's not, yeah, sure that she's putting on her cochlear implants, and she gets speech therapy and teacher of the deaf, and she can't get them wet, and she has to put them in her water ears, whatever. But, like, where is it where there's like a real story that it's not all focused just on the hearing loss journey? So that's why I wanted to create Mighty Mila, because I wanted there to be fun children's books that have deaf or hard of hearing character, where the sole focus of the story isn't on the hearing or hearing abilities, right? But that it is subtly woven throughout the story, because it is an aspect about her. It is something, you know, she does have to put her cochlear implants on in the morning, and she does have to, in Mighty Mila, there's a scene where she's playing hide and seek and she can't really find her brother. So she has to focus even more because localization of sound and figuring out where sounds are coming from is more challenging for kids with hearing devices. So, but it's not the focus of the story. So that's, yeah, so that's why I wanted to do that, because I wanted to help deaf and hard of hearing kids feel like the normal kids they are, doing all the same normal things. And I knew also that it would be more likely that a typical hearing child would pick up a fun story and read about it and learn about deaf, hard of hearing kids versus going out and getting a medically focused book. Maybe they would, but like maybe not as likely.
Right. Well, can we talk about that a little more? Because obviously, as you've said, this is a really empowering book for kids with hearing loss. But at the same time, you don't want it just to be for kids with hearing loss. This is for any kid who just loves a good story. What do you hope that they're taking away from this book?
Yeah, I really, it is both sides of it. Like, I really want to get this into the hands of kids that are deaf and hard of hearing, because I think it's very empowering to see another child and character that is like you in a story. But, you know, it's that whole like books are windows and mirrors type things. Like, right, you need that mirror side of it for deaf and hard of hearing kids, but like it's also a window for kids that are typical hearing. And I really want to get it into the hands of kids that don't know anything about deaf and hard of hearing kids, because I think that it really helps them develop more empathy, develop more kindness, promotes more inclusion, right? You know, hearing loss of deafness is just one disability, right? There's so many disability, whether you call it disability, whether you call it difference, whatever it may be, whether it's health related, whether it's family structure, whether it's religion, whether it's culture, right? Like, I think it's important no matter what to have a very diverse bookshelf in your home so that kids can learn about people and cultures that are different from you, but also you have to have books where kids see themselves too. So you need a good mix.
Right. Well, I love that. And I think this, like you said, I mean, it is just a fun story. I mean, but it encompasses all of that and teaches empathy, very empowering, but it's also just a good story. And speaking of good stories, you have another one coming out. Can you tell us about, this is the second book in the series.
Yeah.
And I know you're launching on Kickstarter. Is it the 19th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's coming fast and furious. I have bags under my eyes because I was up till 1 o'clock in the morning working on some images for the promotion of it. So I apologize what I look like. But yeah, so Mighty Mila Dream Job is the second book in the Mighty Mila series. And fun fact is that I actually started that script before I ever started Mighty Mila script. Because it's all about Mila exploring what she wants to be when she grows up for career day in school. And the whole theme is around, like, you can do everything and anything you set your mind on, like, no limitations, dream big. It shows her trying so many different interests and, you know, careers and stuff. And it touches upon some things that are more challenging for deaf and hard of hearing kids, like music and dance. It shows that, like, it's not going to stop her, right? And so it's fun. It's a really fun book. I had started it, like I said, before Mighty Mila, but I put it down after I did the first draft, and I was like, this doesn't feel like a first story. Like, I don't know. So I pivoted to Mighty Mila, but it's just always been in the background. I was like, I got to get this story out, because it's really fun. And plus add on the illustrations from Nadja Sarell, who's just like incredible. It's just really whimsical and kind of where we took it with all the details and her imagination running wild, right? Like, you know, maybe kids want to explore being a vet, but Mila doesn't want to be a vet. She wants to be a vet specifically for magical creatures. Oh. Like, she'll only take unicorns and furry monsters and dragons, right? Like, so it's kind of like bringing that spunk into the story, and just kind of showing it in like a Mighty Mila style with like her fun imagination. So yeah, so I'm launching September 19th on the Kickstarter platform. And I did that with Mighty Mila also. And it was just a really great way to funnel kind of energy into a book launch. Mm-hmm. It's, you know, I have information on my website, but it's basically, it's just a site. Kickstarter is a site where you can go on at the launch date. It's a 30-day campaign. I have a goal that I set for what I'd want to, sell through the Kickstarter campaign. And if I hit that goal, that everybody gets like the books that they ordered and everything. If I don't hit that goal, like nobody's charged, nothing happens. So it's an interesting little dynamic, and a little stressful for me, but it worked well for the first one, so I'm hoping it'll work well for this one. But I'll have the book up there and a whole bunch of fun little like stickers and other like kits and stuff that I'm putting together just for this Kickstarter campaign, like exclusive rewards that people can kind of order through there. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it is, I'm sure it must be stressful because having it all or nothing, but like you said, it does build a lot of excitement. Yeah. And at least you've gone through it once before, but what made you decide to go the route of self-publishing when you came up with this?
Yeah, I primarily decided to go for self-publishing because of the timeline associated with looking into and exploring the idea of traditional publishing. So traditional publishing obviously being like going with one of the big publishing houses. I mean, I would love to have a whole team of people behind me helping me with all this stuff. It's a lot of work for a person to self-publish a book. But I knew that I wanted to do a book at an exceptionally high quality level. Right. Which is why I spent a lot of time and effort and money on like working with Nadja and a book designer and an editor and others. And the reason I really chose to go self-publishing route is because I didn't have the time. My kids, Mila didn't have the time to wait a year or so for me to get an agent. And then if I get signed, another year or so for the book to come out. Like by the time it got out, she wouldn't even be into children's books anymore, right? Nor any of the peers or her classmates that I need to be teaching about cochlear implants. So that was the main reason why I decided to go indie or independent publishing, self-publishing. It was a time aspect. It was just, you always like to think like, yeah, I could, I'd love to think I could sign with a big like house. Like I think it's a really good story and it's a good book and high quality, but like I knew the vision I had, and I knew that I wanted to get it out sooner rather than later. And don't get me wrong, like it's taken me a while to do all this too, because I do it at night after my corporate job and everything. Like right now, I'll be doing my work tonight to replace the time I'm supposed to be doing my corporate work right now. So I'll be doing that tonight. Luckily, I have a very flexible, wonderful company I work for. So but I just had to kind of get it out on my own terms, I guess.
Right. Well, and speaking of Mila, and that, she's what inspired all of this, and that you kind of made your decisions kind of based on that. But how does she feel about this? How does she feel about being the inspiration behind these books?
It's funny, like on a given day, it's like she couldn't care less, and like she thinks she's like the hottest superstar in the world. So it's just like like sometimes she's like, "What, Mighty Mila?" Like we don't. She loves when kids at school are like, "Oh, Mila, like, oh, I love your book." Like she likes it, but at the same time, like it's it doesn't consume her. It's just one like fun aspect about it, and she likes the books, and she But even if I were to be like, "Mila, what's your favorite book?" She'll make some other random book. She's like, "What about Mighty Mila?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." Like okay, fine. But no, like she loves that the books are out there, and it's honestly something that I go back and forth with myself about. Is like I want to help others and I want to help her, but sometimes I'm like, oh, should I have made a book about my child? It's too much of a spotlight on her. And like I'm just you try as a mom to just like do all the right things for your kids, and no matter what you do, you're always questioning like, am I doing the right things for my kids? So I'd say that she has a very healthy kind of mentality about the book, and I'm going to keep her level about that too. Next time she says to her brother like, well, I'm I'm the subject of a book and you're not, I'll be like, oh no, Mila, excuse me, like Luke is in the book too, get off your high horse. So
oh, she sounds like so much fun.
Yes.
And so are there going to be more Mighty Mila books in the future?
I hope so. I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say I didn't have an entire notepad like with a million different ideas all jotted down, but trying to take things one book at a time This, the second book I've been working on now for like 2 years, and I really, honestly, it's been pretty much done since January, and I've had to put it down because we did a whole renovation of a house. We moved. Sophia's here. My youngest got identified with hearing loss. So honestly, like, family comes first. A lot of things come first. Like, this is really important, and I really work on it as much as I can. But it's, I would love for there to be more books, but I'm trying. Let's see how this launch of the second one goes.
Well, and so tell us to wrap things up, because I want to make sure people know where to go if they want to follow the Kickstarter. You also have where people can sign up to be part of the launch team,
Yes.
which I already said. Where can they go to find all that information, or if they want to go ahead and order the first book?
Yes, you can find out everything on my website, www.mightymila.com. I am currently creating my Kickstarter page, so I don't have a link to that yet, but eventually starting September 19th, you'll be able to get there through www.mightymiladreamjob.com. Right now, it's just linked to my website. But again, if you just go to my website, you'll be able to find directions to anywhere, and you can get the hardcover signed books on my website. The soft cover unsigned books are on Amazon as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to be a wild ride. The September 19th through October 18th will be the Kickstarter, and I will be needing a nice long vacation after that.
I'm sure. Well, best of luck to you. It's a really wonderful book, and you got so much support with your first Kickstarter. I'm sure it's going to go well. I know there was a lot of work that went into that, but you have so much support. And then, like we said, anybody who wants to can go to the website, and it says, got a note here. I've just to let you know I'm autistic and everybody loves me just the way I am. Yes, that's a wonderful comment. And that's what these books are all promoting, is any difference is like that everyone's perfect just how they are and how they're meant to be. And so these books really promote inclusion. I encourage everybody, go to mightymila.com, www.mightymila.com, and also follow Mighty Mila Stories on Instagram. I think that you have a lot of really fun information there, and that of course also has the link to the website. So thank you for joining us. Anybody who joined late, this is going to be up on in a few minutes on Instagram, and later we'll have it up on YouTube. So thank you for taking the time to talk.
Thank you. No, this is wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. And we'll watch out for September 19th, the launch of the Kickstarter. Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. And hopefully I'll see you all around the Kickstarter. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.